Today on TimesCast.
Are there any Democrats here?
A Democrat and a Republican trade barbs in a race for Barack Obama's Illinois Senate seat. A New York Times national poll shows a changing political landscape for Democrats, and a look at some of the New York region's most colorful campaign ads. In Illinois, Democrat Alexi Giannoulias and Republican Mark Kirk are in a close and caustic race.
Yes, it's been a nasty campaign. Hell, it's Illinois.
Certainly there's been a lot of mudslinging going on, as usual.
I'm Monica Davey, reporting for the New York Times. The Senate race in Illinois is one of the ugliest races I've ever seen. On the one hand, the Republicans have accused Alexi Giannoulias, who's serving his first term as state treasurer, of being what they like to call a mob banker.
He'd make Tony Soprano proud.
On the other hand, the Democrats accuse Mark Kirk, a longtime congressman, of inflating his military service record.
Kirk's claim he fought in the first Iraq War was not true.
The punches and counterpunches have definitely drawn notice.
You don't misremember being in wartime.
I think they're grasping at straws, really.
No,
I do.
They're not grasping at straws.
Giannoulias, he lost his family business. He was the banker, and he put out all these loans to mobsters.
Some of the accusations are true, at least to a degree. Mr. Kirk has apologized for inflating his resume at times, and Mr. Giannoulias' family bank, which was taken over by government regulators last spring, has been accused of making loans to people with connections to organized crime, though Mr. Giannoulias has denied involvement.
President Bill Clinton.
We're here in the Palmer House Hotel in downtown Chicago, and Bill Clinton is speaking behind me on behalf of Alexi Giannoulias.
This is a very clear choice.
This is a seat that carries great symbolic importance for both the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats would really like to hold on to it because this was the seat that was held by President Obama. Meanwhile, the Republicans see a real opportunity here. They think they have a better chance with Mark Kirk.
So now we have 1 week to go, and the race will be very close.
So we're at the Union League Club here in downtown Chicago, and Mark Kirk has just spoken to the Rotary Club here. And this was a much more sober, quiet reading from a podium speech as you would to the Rotary Club. And actually I was struck by the imagery. Mark Kirk is a very clean-cut, almost old-fashioned looking candidate. He doesn't yell, he doesn't make jokes, he's not stylistic. Alexi Giannoulias has not been doing this very long.
Are there any Democrats here?
But he can deliver his lines with a bit of flourish, and he can get a crowd worked up. Whether it's a decision they make over style or over substance or over all these barbs that have been traded back and forth, voters in Illinois will certainly have a choice to make on Tuesday.
Jim Rutenberg has details from the latest New York Times CBS News national political poll.
Jim, we have a new poll out this morning, and there's just really no good news for Democrats in here, is there?
Yeah, not a great day for the Democrats. This is the latest in a series of bad polls showing a rough Tuesday night to come.
It looks like this coalition that the Democrats had put together in 2006 and 2008 is starting to fall apart a little. And there were two groups that were seemed to be falling away from the Democrats that were sort of surprising: Catholic voters and even more surprising, women voters.
Since 1982, when the exit polls started asking women who they voted for, women have never as a class voted for the Republican over the Democrat. Our poll shows that women now are choosing the Republican over the Democrat. It's within the margin of error, so this is really slight, but it's a troubling sign for the Democrats. Yeah.
Another big shift is that voters just seem to be willing to take a real flyer on an inexperienced candidate, even one that they perceive as being kind of extreme.
Absolutely. You know, more than a quarter of voters say they will go with somebody who has extreme views. Okay, they answer the question, extreme views. Right. So that shows us a level of desperation. Mind you, a large majority will not, but a much higher percentage than one would expect is willing to take a chance.
So if there's one bright spot in this whole poll for Democrats, not necessarily the party, but for the president, it's that people are still pretty optimistic about the rest of his term.
Yeah, a comfortable majority for the Democrats of voters to say that they're optimistic about Obama's last 2 years, but he really has his work cut out for him. They're going to have to rebuild this coalition, and key to doing that is going to be wooing back women, Catholics, independents, you name it. I mean, they have a hard road ahead.
And finally, candidates in the New York region have used some unconventional advertising to attract voters this season.
We've seen plenty of ads this year in the New York metropolitan area, some of which have been very, very earnest and others of which have been downright mean.
Not only talks about, but lives by.
But a few have broken through because of their oddball or quirky nature. So we decided, in the spirit of the Oscars, to hand out our own awards, not based on effectiveness or accuracy, but just on a sense of fun. For Best Splash, New York State Senate candidate John Orzel, a swim coach, wanted to prove that he was willing to do anything, even take a dive, for the people of Binghamton. Next up is the award for Best Bizarro World. Eric Schneiderman is running for New York State Attorney General.
Thank you so much for getting.
New York City comes across as Sesame Street. We half expect to see Elmo bounding up to him and saying, "Thank you for being Eric."
Hey, Eric. I got drug treatment, not jail time because of you. Thanks for the second chance.
You're welcome.
Our final award is for the freshest ad. And Jerry Labriola, who's running for Congress in Connecticut, is clearly an Old Spice man.
All our money and started cutting taxes. She could think like
Could
me.
smell like he's me. Look down.
Up. You're in Washington with a man.
Boat with the man your man.
What's in your hand? I have it.
Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing.
You put me in Congress and not Laura.
I'm on a horse.
I'm on a sign.
Join us again tomorrow for TimesCast.